is the pole sitter for the Indianapolis 500, the 99th running of this Memorial Day weekend tradition at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He is also in his 14th year with Target Chip Ganassi Racing, the longest tenure for a driver in team history. It is Scott Dixon. How are you, Scott?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been obviously a good week so far. Now the hard part is trying to keep the number 9 Target car in that same spot after 500 miles.
Yeah, I imagine so. And there's sort of before we get to actually running this race and your thoughts about it, I do want to hit you on a couple of, I guess, different polls, if you will, on being a fellow Indycar driver and what you do with some fellow teammates and others. First of all, we just saw Sage Karam on this program for the radio audience, the TV audience, which saw you pull a prank on him. You and Tony Kanaan pull a prank on him where you painted his Camaro pink. What was that all about, Scott?
Well, he's a rookie, right? He's he's new to the team for the full season. Sage ran with us last year, but yeah, he's been getting it quite a few ways, and I think this was TK came up with the idea, and myself and Dario thought it would be a good idea to all pitch in and get this car wrapped in pink. He'd just got his new Chevy Camaro that he was tweeting about on Instagram, and he was all really happy about this hot rod that he had just got. So we thought we'd tell him that needed to go back for a recall, and in a few hours we had it wrapped in hot pink, and it looks pretty racy. Yeah,
I know. And Scott, though, there was a special message that was also inscripted on the back window. Scott, was that your idea? Was it Tony's? What was that?
I think the one on the back was actually my idea. Was honk if you think I'm sexy. So I'm hoping he's getting a lot of beeps out there. But I think the best one was actually, instead of Camaro, it was Caramo across the front.
I like it, Sage Caramo. Very good. That's pretty neat. Scott Dixon, the pole sitter for this year's Indy 500, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then there's obviously the opposite end of the spectrum, where a very serious moment occurred with James Hinchcliffe, a fellow IndyCar driver who had a horrific crash, one of many crashes that took place this week in practice. What are your thoughts on James and what happened with him, Scott?
Yeah, definitely a horrific accident, and James is a good friend. I train with him here in town. I put the training every day. So it's hard. We're all very close as a community. Some guys you're a little closer to when you live in the same town and do training and different things together. So the crash, obviously it looked like something failed in the right front suspension, and the car's, when you see it go in at that angle, it was a big crash, almost head on into turn 3 wall. Thank God for, Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the safer barriers, because that definitely, helped his condition a lot. But obviously he was struck by some of the suspension coming through and inside the car and getting into his leg. And, I think the Hamultro safety crew did an amazing job, obviously, to get into the hospital quickly, as he was, cut pretty bad and losing some blood. So all our, thoughts and prayers are obviously with Hinch and his girlfriend and his parents and everybody in town, and hopefully going to try and stop by later today at the hospital and see him.
That's excellent. I mean, have you heard about what his spirits are? Have you spoken with him, Scott?
I haven't spoken to him. I've sent him a few messages. I know he's awake. Obviously, he's been talking a little bit. I think he's for the most part he's just been sleeping a lot, trying to recover. And
sure.
They were talking that hopefully he might be able to leave the hospital this weekend or early next week, which is amazing considering how big the crash was.
Now, Scott, the sport that I cover more than anything else is the NFL for a dozen years, and I've had conversations with players all the time about how when they go out on the field and suit up and put the pads on, that they know that there's a possibility of serious injury, but they don't really think about it. I'd love to get inside your helmet and how you approach getting into that car, fully aware of what a beast of a machine that is and what can happen when you get behind the wheel, Scott.
Yeah, it's tough. I think obviously when you have weeks like this where we've seen, lots of cars getting airborne, big crashes, big injury with James, it all brings it back to reality. And, I think that the safety is sometimes, just something to expect. But, even if you look back just recently with, Dan Weldon and Tony Renner, crashes that have happened and deaths as well. It's the unfortunate part of the business, and when you're driving cars that go in excess of 240 miles an hour, some things can happen, and you can only have safety improvements, from unfortunate accidents that maybe you didn't think were possible. So, it's always an evolving situation with obviously IndyCar racing, and they're definitely at the forefront of it. And I think Verizon IndyCar Series, they do a fantastic job of keeping on top of it, trying to advance the safety areas, but. Yeah, for me, and I think similar for most drivers, once you get the helmet on, it just changes. It's like a switch flips and you're in race mode. You're just trying to get to the front of the pack if you're not at the front of it. You just want to try and get to that checkered flag as fast as possible. So, it's a very competitive sport and one that we all love very much. And I feel very fortunate to be able to say I'm an IndyCar driver and very blessed. So, it is, and I'll keep saying it, the unfortunate part of our business.
And I'm chatting with the pole sitter for the 99th running of the Indianapolis 500, Scott Dixon, and you are now 7 years removed from your win at Indy. What would a win this weekend mean to you, Scott?
It would be huge, to be lucky enough to win the one in 2008, from the pole. So, we've got that first part covered, and obviously what we're going to try and do is replicate 2008. But, it's to be on that short list already, of only 67 or 68 people that have ever had the chance to win this race of, almost 99th running, 100 running next year. To be on even that shorter list of multiple winners would mean so much, and it's crazy. Once you win that race and you get the taste of it, you just want it that much more again. And I hope I get to witness that one day. Well,
Scott, we just showed for the TV audience your excellent resume and how you have won this race before. You're a 3-time IndyCar Series champion. You have over 30 career wins, period. And you were able to add Long Beach to that arsenal this year. And our producer, Chris Brockman, who you met prior to the event, has been taking full credit for your success, not only in Long Beach, but I believe your entire career, Scott. And he's here right now. Is that true, Brockman? Isn't that what you've been doing?
We call that the Brockman bump, Rich.
Scott, what do you make of the Brockman bump, Scott?
I'm perfectly happy with the Brockman bump. If he obviously sees things coming for this weekend too, and I'll give him all the credit in the world if this one comes around this weekend.
Just don't forget the autograph pen tucked inside the cuff, Scott.
Anytime, man. You got to put that pen in there.
So yeah, where'd you learn that move, Scott?
I don't know. I think the problem is, a lot of the seats, actually, a lot of the guys have pockets in different places and things like that. But the seams get quite annoying when you're in that little cockpit in that small car. But I ended up getting rid of all the pockets. So that's the only place I could put a Sharpie was up inside my sleeve.
Well, Scott, look, good luck to you this weekend in winning the Indy 500. If you do it, it's going to make Chris Brockman here absolutely unbearable to be around, where he will take credit for anything that's ever happened in your life that's positive, okay?
I hope that comes true, and hopefully I'll be talking to you guys next week then.
That's right. That's Scott Dixon joining me here on the program.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.